going on, everybody? It is Monday of Coffee and Crypto Live. Jebb is down in Miami at the North American Bitcoin Conference. It's too late to buy any tickets, but if you're already there and you're watching this morning, I don't know why you're watching. You should be listening. I don't know if there's a little segment going on right now, but thank you so much for joining us. This is the best crypto show that happens every single Monday through Friday morning, 9:30, where we teach you guys how to think, not what to think. Small crew today. It is MLK Day, so shout out to that. If everyone is celebrating, if you're home from work, have a great restful day. But I have, for the first time, no co-hosts sitting, and we don't even have a camera set up, so I can't show you. No. It's a sad, dark little desk over there. I am joined by our technical director / producer, Smay. Smay, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing fantastic. I have a lot of adrenaline flowing through my veins right now.
Yeah.
I'm a little sleepy. Because I didn't get great sleep last night. But I've been, I've taken on a new lifestyle, and I can talk about it a little bit later. But I have not had the internet for actually a whole week now, a little bit over a week, and so I've just been reading books and watching movies. So.
Fun.
My new lifestyle has made me. I started listening to Jordan Peterson podcast. How crazy is that?
Ooh,
yeah,
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, Smay, do you have any before we move on to, because we have one more guest I'm introducing?
Yeah, I want to shout out. I want to shout out some of the people in the chat, the members in the chat right now. We have Crypto Sec Guy. We got Crypto Alchemist, Matt C, Ricardo Vinegas. And that's all the people I'm seeing in the chat right now. But I love you guys. Your members are the best. Look out for our members live stream. I think I don't know the date off the top of my head, but it's next week.
Coming up.
It's next week, right?
Something like that. Because every 2 weeks.
So if it's not this week, it's next week.
That's good mathematics there, Smay. We are also joined via, this is a Zoom call, via Zoom with Kelly Kellum up in New York. Kelly, how you doing? What?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just making sure my money tree was, living well, so we could bring up the Bitcoin market. Yeah, I'm excited. We shout out to Smay. He did a lot of great work getting this all set up so we could finally get some remote co-hosting and also further guests on future shows so we could do this more regularly and have it integrated. And so I'm excited to be here all the way from New York. We got a lot of stuff in store for the show today. Some Cardano, some Ethereum, some Bitcoin, and some other altcoins. And we want to talk about where it could be going from here. And we got some great metrics I'm going to be showing as well.
Boom. Let us know how you guys like it. This is kind of a test day with that Zoom call. If this works out, we might see a lot more of these calls happen.
This is the cause of my adrenaline spike. I'm hoping this goes well today. So it's gonna though. It's so far so
good. But here's the thing, and everyone needs to remember this. First of all, the trend continues. Jebb is out, and of course something had to blow up, and that of course was Cardano. Shout out to 88 gang. The trend continues, and also we always have to have at least one technical difficulty. So you know what? Why not throw Zoom in on there? And let's have some fun with that. If we get out of today's show and there's no technical difficulties, Smay, I'll buy you lunch.
Oh, yay.
I will buy lunch for Smay if we have no technical difficulties, because odds are stacked against us. But I'm so glad you guys are here. We have a great show today. No Jebb. Again, if you just joined, Jebb is down in Miami at the North American Bitcoin Conference. So today it is me, Kelly, and Smay running the show. Taylor, my wife, is at home doing super chat, so she's not on the set, but she is collecting her super chats, and I think she's going to interact with you guys on chat a little bit. What we have today, we're going to be talking about Ethereum TA in a snapshot. We usually do Ethereum a little bit larger, go into more detail, but today, due to Cardano, we've replaced the stream flow a little bit. So we're going to talk about Ethereum TA quickly, DOT and Luna. We're then going to jump into Cardano. We're going to spend a little bit of time looking at the technicals on Cardano because, those of you who have gotten in, congratulations, it's awesome. But there are some things we want to look at to see what happens next. After that 30% rally, what is going to happen to Cardano moving forward? Bitcoin, as the title suggests, why is Bitcoin taking so long? It had another really boring weekend, just kind of moved sideways. It started a little downtrend, but right now it looks like it's starting to kind of rally back up. Are we still moving sideways? Are we going to go back down to 40K? We're going to talk about that and more. And then, of course, we're going to be answering your super chats as we go. So let's go ahead and start with Ethereum technical analysis really quickly. Smay, you can go ahead and go to my screen, and we're going to kind of go through this quickly so that we can move on to Cardano and Bitcoin and everything else. But as you guys can see, Ethereum is still continuing to move in this symmetrical triangle pattern. For those of you who are just now joining, haven't seen us talk about Ethereum, this is one of the reasons why we do feel bullish about the outcome of Ethereum long term, because symmetrical triangle patterns that play out from an upward momentum, meaning they played bullish into the symmetrical triangle pattern, more often than not end up breaking out bullish as well. As you guys can see, we're kind of sitting in the middle right here, and we're more than 70% of the way through this formation. So this is something that I'm looking at potentially as we begin to approach this resistance line again. Will we be able to break through it and go to the upside? But that is something we'll have to find out as we play it out. We did just yesterday have, or I guess today, have started a little bit of a retracement right here. You guys can see that red candle forming up, but you're going to see that red candle on almost every single altcoin except for Cardano. So let's go ahead and look at our RSI and kind of see what's happening with our oscillators. That is a fun fact. Actually, we'll camp out here for just a second in case any of you are looking at my screen and are a little confused by seeing the RSI have two different lines on it. We did not talk about this Friday. Jebb, I think, now knows about it because I think we talked about it with him that afternoon. However, I wanted to show you guys today what is happening on this chart. So the first thing, if you guys are interested in knowing what's happening with RSI, go ahead and cancel your RSI. Go back up to your indicators and click it back up. I like to keep RSI on my favorites. Where are we right here? There we go. Relative Strength Index. So this is something that just got updated recently. So unless you've killed it on your chart and brought it back up, you're only going to see a blue line or whatever color I think you set that to. But this yellow line right here is the 14-day SMA. So it's kind of showing us over the last 14 days, what is the average RSI rate at. And so this kind of gives us a great indication. The way we like to use this is by kind of looking at the RSI and saying, are we above this yellow line? Or are we below this yellow line? If we are above it, we're looking at some great stuff happening. That's really bullish. If we get below it, that's when there's a little bit more bearish action happening. So you definitely want to add this. Go ahead and kill your RSI, bring it back up. You want to be paying attention to that yellow line. Everything else about the RSI has stayed the exact same. It's just now cool to kind of have a line to kind of play with it. Just like the MACD, how we have two different, oh, where do we go? Come on, MACD, pop up for me. There we go. Just like the MACD has two different lines, so we can kind of watch when they cross. We have a bearish movement, bullish movement. We have a similar thing now playing out with our RSI. That being said, let's look at what we have on the chart, starting with the daily chart with Ethereum. You know, nothing necessarily too spectacular. I'm not seeing on the daily chart, other than the bullish MACD that we've talked about here for a while, and bullish RSI divergence. If you guys are wondering what that is, if you go to this peak right here, we have a uptick in price action, but a downtick in RSI action. So there we go, bullish, bearish. This is a bullish RSI divergence, which is an indicator that this was probably the bottom and reversing back to the upside. But we've talked about that before, so there's nothing new happening there. As far as everything else, I'm seeing kind of a clean trend line on our RSIs. We're coming down. So let's look over the next little bit for us to be able to break through this trend line of resistance on RSI as we continue to the upside. Again, I think you're probably going to see that happen around the same amount of time we're looking to break through this level of descending resistance. On our MACD, we are still converging to the upside, but if you zoom in really closely, it's getting, let's see, it's starting to kind of round off. You're going to see this happen probably on a lot of different charts. The MACDs, if they just crossed bullish or they just crossed bearish, they're kind of rounding and moving sideways. We're in a market or season of a lot of sideways movement, so nothing special necessarily happening there, but that could change at any moment. This is the daily chart. Let's go to our Bollinger Bands and TD sequential before we close this out and move on to DOT. You guys are going to see we're kind of hovering right around that 20 daily SMA. Similar things are happening on Bitcoin. We're going to talk about that a little bit later, but it does look like we're kind of bouncing and resisting from that 20 daily SMA. We need to get through that. TD sequential is not telling us anything significantly. We have we call this a red one, not a green one. Talked about that before, but in case you guys are new, the reason we call the green ones red is because when they're green, especially if we ever get a green 9, that's a reversal to the downside, which would be a red movement. And then the flip side, we call the red ones green ones because if it hits a red 9, we're actually reversing to the upside. So this is kind of indecision right here. We're moving sideways in the market, just kind of backing up that point. Nothing special is happening there. Kelly, before I move on, was there anything I was missing on Ethereum that you found this morning? Again, not a whole lot of stuff happening, but I want to make sure I don't miss anything.
Not a whole lot of stuff that I'm seeing. However, I will show, if I could show my screen real quick. Let's see. Boom. Should be there. Let me know if it's up there.
Yeah, it's good.
So one of the things that I'm looking at is we're also in this channel below the falling wedge that we were in. And one of the things that we're going to need to watch out for is when we come back up, we're either going to retest this area here and then come back down, or if we actually get some solid bullish sentiment and bullish movement, we have to break through this basically lower. This was a support on the falling wedge, and we need to come back up and actually find this resistance and then push through it. So that's the only thing that I'm really looking at, and that would be at the price target of basically anywhere from about 33.50 up to 34.50. We need to push through that, get back in this wedge, and then push on through that. So this area right here at this support / resistance line is going to be a pretty big contention with where we're at right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. You can go back to my chart, do that on here, so you can see it there. He's just looking at the bottoms where you kind of use this as support up top, kind of turn into resistance. As you can see, we bounced off of it. We do need to reclaim that, and I do think that's coming soon. But let's go ahead and move on to DOT, because we want to keep moving on the show today. Let's see here. I have a better chart. There we go. This one right here. Just so you guys know, they can't see that side of the screen, can they? What? Man, I have a screen of all the different ones I'm invested in at the moment, so I keep them different so I can keep watching. DOT is really interesting. So there's a lot of different projects at the moment on the daily or larger time frames that were either in symmetrical triangles that were probably going to be breaking bullish, or in falling wedges, which for those of you who have taken CT2A or any type of class learning technical analysis, you know that falling wedges end up breaking bullish. And there's a lot that DOT needs to do. As we can see right there, we still have that red candle on the daily chart. However, what's significant about DOT is that we have just broken out of our out of our falling wedge. Right here, we broke bullish, and now we came back down and test that as a level of support. Will this new line of former resistance turn into strong support as DOT continues to the upside? This is something we need to keep an eye on, but it is bullish news for anyone who invested in DOT. If you were waiting on an opportunity to invest in DOT, wait a little bit longer, because we do want to see confirmation. That I've seen plenty of times where we break bullish out of these and then end up coming back down. But we have been bullish out of this falling wedge now for this is the third day. So let's keep an eye on what's happening there. If we go to our oscillators, we're going to find, again, kind of boring action. There's nothing special necessarily happening here. You have a slight descending level of both price and RSI, nothing there. We are above that 14-day SMA on the RSI, so that is bullish, but as you guys can see, we are approaching it very quickly. Will we use that as resistance and bounce and rally, or will we cross below it? We will have to find out on that one. As far as the MACD is concerned, our bullish momentum, as you guys see on that histogram, is starting to fade or round off. The green turned kind of light green. This is an indication that the market's kind of slowing down, that we are potentially heading to the downside. This also could just be a really boring sideways movement. Let's keep our eye on that. What is good, though, is if you're here, and I would zoom out on the weekly chart. I can come back here. Well, let's see. Let's go 3 daily. Is a better view of that one. You guys see we're actually now starting to had bullish cross on the 3-day chart. I do think that DOT is on the rise. It's just on the daily chart, which is one of the charts we use the most here, and I do believe a lot of investors and traders use. We're kind of getting into some boring territory, but again, DOT joined the market. That seems like what every crypto wants to do right about now, except for Cardano. Let's go to Bollinger Bands and TD Sequential. Let's see if anything's happening there. Again, same kind of story on the Bollinger Bands, not on TD Sequential, but on the Bollinger Bands, we're hanging tight right around the 20-day SMA. The only difference is it looks like, to me, that we're on the upside of it, and despite the fact that our candle is below it, look for potentially this price to rise back up and our body to close, the candle body to close above that 20-daily SMA. The TD Sequential did flash a red 7. So we're getting close. Anything after 6, when you get to 7, 8, 9, is when you're potentially starting to see a call for reversal. So is this the reversal? Are we going to rally back up and actually flash a red 8 and 9? We have to find out over the next 2 days. This is nothing necessarily to be afraid of, but it's something to start keeping your eye on with DOT. If you are invested in DOT, is this the time potentially to take your profits and wait for a dip? Or is this just a fake out as DOT continues to rally to the upside? Obviously, on the Bollinger Bands, if we can fight back above this 20-daily SMA, we have a ways to go before we hit the top of being overbought on the Bollinger Bands on the daily chart at least. Let me look real quickly, actually, on the 4-hourly chart and see if it tells any different of a story. For those of you not, so on the 4-hourly, we're actually constricted Bollinger Bands, but we are at the bottom. So this is kind of helping that support level of thinking potentially, like we were talking about on the daily chart. Are we going to see a rally with this candle and close above this daily SMA? Let's keep an eye on that. The last one we do want to look at, though, today on our kind of snapshot view of technical analysis on altcoins is going to be Luna. So I want to start, well, why not? Let's just go ahead and start with the Bollinger Bands, the T sequential, work backwards, even though I usually do the oscillators first. We have a similar story, only this one, our candle is closed above that 20-day daily SMA. So this is actually a great spot for Luna. We broke through that 20 daily, came above. We're now using it as support rather than as resistance. Very good. We have that red 7. So again, let's keep our eyes there. But overall, I'm actually very excited what I see on the charts with Luna, both from the Bollinger Bands perspective and the T sequential. We have room to grow, come back up. And as you're going to see, we're going to continue this trend line, it looks like, of having a kind of a rising trading channel. We've been in it ever since the 16th of August, and it doesn't look at this point like anything's going to change. You're going to see those Bollinger Bands are constricted well within it. Look for us potentially to come back up and hit our head on this ascending level of resistance before we actually correct. Let's see what we have on the oscillators. Let me take down my Bollinger Bands, TD sequential. Let's see what the oscillators are saying to us. We are still above that 14-day RSI, SMA on the RSI, but again, we're heading towards it. Will we use that for resistance or support, and bounce, or are we going to come back up? That's also right there at that 50 RSI level, a key level for the bulls to be able to hold and stay above that 50, use it as support. Nothing screaming bullish or bearish RSI divergence. Again, Luna's kind of moving pretty cleanly. The MACD is kind of in a spot where, despite crossing bullish, it's actually kind of moving in a very boring sideways fashion. So we need to see what this is going to do with the MACD. Again, crypto today, guys, expect this. I think over the next little bit of today, we're going to be seeing either boring or potentially bearish signals on the charts, and that doesn't mean it's time to sell. It just means it's time to sit and watch and wait. And I know that's not what anybody likes to hear, but I can't tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to have to tell you what you need to hear, and that is that after a little rally we've had over the last couple of days, we probably are going to be sitting in a spot where things are going to correct a little bit or at least move sideways to consolidate before the rally can continue. But let's go ahead and go off my chart. That was what we had for TA. Later in the show, if we have time, I would love to do a little bit more from suggestions in chat. But speaking of chat, I want to go ahead and hear a little bit of what's happening there. And usually we have somebody else who's going to be able to read the super chats. But today I am going to cover that job as well. So I'm going to pull up my sheet right here. It does not look like we have a whole heck of a lot. So Smay, if you see anything in chat that you think is a good question, let me know. But we have one from Kingdom Hunters saying, how do you guys store your ADA and ADAX? I've been using Yoroi, but it's been crazy slow lately. Well, I don't use Yoroi.
I mean, I'm just using.
I got something for that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, go ahead,
I would say Yoroi is a fine wallet, of course, to store your ADA and your ADAX. So is Daedalus wallet. But I think where everybody's moving now in terms of storing, especially ADAX, would be the NAMI wallet. Because with the NAMI wallet, you can also, and we might mention this a little bit more when we talk more about Cardano in a few seconds, or in a few minutes when we dive deeper on Cardano. But one of the big reasons Cardano is moving and ADAX and all these other Cardano projects is because of a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes with their implementation of their smart contracts finally rolling out on a number of different protocols. And with that, there's also this whole new sort of launching of and growing of the NFTs on the Cardano chain. And if you're at all involved with that, the NAMI wallet's great because you can not only store your NFTs in there, but you can also have access to where you can see what's being stored versus just having it be a transaction line item, which is basically what you would see on like Yoroi and Daedalus. So the NAMI wallet is kind of the go-to wallet now. Even I was speaking with one of the developers, for one of the main developers from the ADAX team last week, and they said NAMI wallet is the one that a lot of different protocols are suggesting that are for projects that are on the Cardano chain because of all the functionality that you can get using the NAMI wallet.
That's good to know. Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, that's something that I have to explore a little bit more as to where to keep all those things. I usually, again, with Cardano, I'm doing stuff on Coinbase Pro. Shout out to Coinbase Pro. They do not sponsor us or anything, so that's not like a shill or anything. I love using Coinbase Pro. We did use X Markets for ADAX. Yeah. So that's if you go to CoinMarketCap, that's pretty much the only thing it suggests using it. But
and by the way, for all those people that have either been on the sidelines or jumped in when all of us jumped in, If anybody that is following the AVAX protocol, you'll see that Sunday Swap just they just actually I think they went live on their what they call the beta of their mainnet.
Yeah.
Just because they're still trying to work out some of the stuff, but because all these things are rolling out, and then AVAX is actually launching their full mainnet January 30th, which is a little over a week and a half away, almost 2 weeks. They're in the last, I think 4 or 5 days, it's up over 50%. So anybody that got on, I know you, Tim, and Smay, and your brother Caleb, a bunch of people got in with that massive dip. So a lot of people will be in some good profits right now with the AVAX protocol.
Yeah, no, that's at the end of the day, that's an investment for me that I'm just not even going to look at. I'm not going to constantly check in every single day and be like, where is it at? It's so young, it's so small. I'm just gonna let that sit for a long time, and then check on it a little bit later when it gets more established. But if that's all we have, no other super chats that I know of that I've seen. Did you see anything interesting in chat, Smay, before we move on?
How is that wallet spelled, Kelly? The Nami?
Pretty sure it's NAMI.
Yeah, it looks like that. Some people are answering that in chat.
Yep.
Yeah, well, before we move forward, if you guys love this team, love this show, I know it's a different show, no Jebb here today, but please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Yeah, Smay says you better. It's part of his job to make sure that we get bigger. He doesn't eat unless we grow as that's not true. That's a terrible joke.
Well, I mean, if you really do think about it, like if you go like really philosophical with it, it's true.
But that's the nature of any job. If the business dies and we don't have jobs.
Yeah, exactly. That's the nature of any job.
You know, it's true. It's true. We just like to have fun here, and we want to really help you guys grow as investors, as traders. If that's something you want to learn and you love a community that is healthy and just loves to grow, please consider joining this. You can also become a member. I think there's a join button right there next to all those subscribe and like buttons if you want to support the team. But let's go ahead and move into, I think, the reason a lot of you guys came in. We're going to talk about Cardano, and afterwards we're going to do some super chats, check in with chat, and then we'll talk about Bitcoin. But Cardano had itself a nice little weekend. You can go to my chart, Smay, and we'll go and dive on into it. You're going to see a couple different things playing out on my chart that I want to bring to your guys' awareness in case you didn't know. The first is that it looks like, breaking bullish out of this falling wedge that we have been in now ever since back in August. So kind of similar to what we were talking about. I think we were talking about DOT earlier in the formation since August. This is actually really good. We're going to talk about why potentially this might not be the time yet to just decide, oh no, I'm going all in on Cardano. But the first thing that you do need to look at, and I put them here so you guys can see, I used to have lines, but that really kind of, lines kind of get a little fuzzy and people get confused and it gets a little bit dirty on the chart. These different price points are the points that you're needing to pay attention to according to Fibonacci retracement. And those of you who do not know what Fibonacci retracement is, it's when you take a tool. I'm going to show you guys over here on this chart. There's a couple different things you're going to see, but the Fibonacci retracement, if you click on that and choose the top of the price action, go all the way to the bottom, you're going to get these different lines. And not everyone's going to have these exact lines necessarily, but it's going to be something similar to those. So these are the lines that have significance to them that we need to be watching. It doesn't mean that every single time we touch one of these lines, you automatically need to buy or sell. It just means, hey, realize that according to how the markets work and the reason why Fibonacci was created in the first place to help traders invest, these lines have a lot of significance. As you guys can see, we are approaching the 0.236 line around $1.56. This is the thing that you guys need to think about. What are you doing? If you are an investor, go ahead and just leave it. We're probably going to fall back down, and we're going to show you on the technicals why I think that the price of Cardano is going to retrace. It's one of those things when something explodes to the upside, it does need to come back down a little bit. But if you're an investor, just go ahead and sit. Just go ahead and wait. There's no reason to freak out. Overall, Cardano's going to work its way back up here. And we're not going to talk about it on this show, but overwhelmingly, what you can do with retracement is also start to predict to the upside. We could see Cardano peaking out all the way as high, if you were to use the 2.618, as high as 655 before it would potentially see a massive need for resistance. But let's not go too far out. Let's keep today's show about right now. And what you do need to know is we just hit our head on $1.56, which is the 0.236. And there's a reason, not only because of that line, but there's some other reasons what we're going to go into on the hourly chart and the 2-hourly chart that kind of show us, hey, it looks like Cardano needs to go ahead and have a little bit of a retracement before it continues. But it was a good couple of last days. The other reason why I think we maybe should not be just rejoicing too much is you guys are going to see over here, we broke through over here, this resistance, spent a day or two over there, and then came back down. We've only been above this level of resistance for 1 day. Let's watch what happens over the next couple of days. Let's look on the daily chart before we move anywhere else and kind of see what we have going with the RSI and the MACD. So the first thing I noticed right here is we are, of course, unlike the rest of the markets that we've looked at, the RSI is climbing and furthering its distance from that 14-day SMA, which is phenomenal. If we can keep that up, that would be great. Again, we're going to look at some smaller time frames and explain why that might not hold. But for right now on the daily chart, there's a lot of great things happening RSI-wise. We have no bearish RSI divergence on the daily chart yet, although I do expect this to finish into bearish RSI divergence, and I'm looking at this peak right here and this peak right here. As you guys are going to see, the price point that Cardano would need to get past to cancel out this bearish RSI divergence is $2.29. I do not expect us to go ahead and finish that before the end of the day. I don't expect us to finish there and not have any form of retracement before we get to that point. So this is a point where we haven't officially set up bearish RSI divergence on the daily chart yet, but I do heavily expect that is going to happen. Let's move to the MACD and see if anything's happening there. Again, a similar story. If you're just looking at the daily MACD, you're going to say, oh, Cardano's in a great spot. The bulls are continuing to gain momentum. The histograms are still explosive in green. But as we move down to smaller charts, we're going to see that start to change just a little bit. But let's see what else is happening on this chart. Our TD sequential and our Bollinger Bands. We have a red 6, nothing crazy. That could continue to climb. The only thing, though, that I will say on the daily chart is, as you guys can see, we have gotten overextended on the Bollinger Bands. Doesn't mean that screams we have to reverse, but just so you know, when we start to get oversold or, overbought on the Bollinger Bands, it's when you're starting to kind of keep your eye out on, hey, is this a time that the price is going to reverse? But to kind of show you guys what's happening there, let's go ahead and go down to the 4-hourly chart and the hourly charts and kind of see what's happening. So without even checking the oscillators, as we've talked about the rest of the show, and as you guys have heard on Coffee and Crypto Live several times, this red 9 right here is something we have to pay attention to. You'll notice and you'll see that obviously we've had 3 candles continue to go up since then. However, when the red 9 shows up in the color green, it is telling us that we need to reverse and we have been overbought. Again, we're also overextended on the Bollinger Bands. And as you guys see in this last candle, we've started to make our way back down into it. We potentially need to at least come back down and touch this 20 daily SMA. Sorry, this isn't daily, it's 4-hourly. 24-hourly SMA. And this is the sign of a healthy market. I know a lot of people just wish the price would go up and up and up and up and up, but that's just not how the world works. That's not how the prices work. For something to maintain its level of strength, it needs to go ahead and have some healthy corrections along the climb. To the flip side, and this is the reason we're in this mess in the first place, look at what we just had over the last couple of months. Cardano just fell and fell and fell and fell, and anything that fell this far without a good level of rising back up and retracing to the upside is going to have an explosive rally. We don't want to repeat the mistake of what we had with this downside where the bears got Cardano to drop by 60% without significant retracements. On the flip side, let's not, as the bulls, get a 60% uptick without healthy corrections along the way. This is something we need to see continue. When we get above these Bollinger Bands, let's come back down, touch the 20 SMA, and then continue our rally.
Can I share my screen real quick? I want to support what you're saying with what Market Cypher's showing.
Yeah, go for it.
Well, so the interesting thing about what you're saying in regards to us being a little overextended, if we look here at the Market Cypher, I'm on ADA on the 4-hour. You see here we have a red dot. I'll make this a bit bigger. We have a red dot. VWAP's coming down. You also go down to the 2-hour red dot, 30-minute. Tried to flip back up, still red dot. The red dot is just indicating that the momentum is shifting to the downside. Right. 15-minute, all the way down to the 5-minute. So it's very, very general consensus across the board with all of what's going on with Cardano, especially on Market Cypher with the momentum and the RSIs is supporting that there's definitely going to be a move for at least the interim throughout maybe the rest of the afternoon with a little bit of a pullback. And
exactly
on your chart, exactly where we just broke above that resistance line.
Mm-hmm.
We very well could just come down and test it and ride it down to that flat horizontal that you had. But as we were discussing before, I could definitely see targets anywhere from the 148, 138, 131 positions on price.
Yeah.
But we definitely are going to pull back. Where we pull back to is anybody's guess, but I don't think it's going to be a pullback where it's going to be like a full retracement and we continue a downtrend. I think with all the news and all the the metaverse action that's happening within Cardano and the NFTs, and then the DEX is coming online and the smart contracts, there's just too much bullish momentum that's building up behind the scenes. But we did move a little too far, too fast after a period of ultimate patience testing. So I do think some sideways and some downside action is going to happen through it, whether it be a day or 3 days.
Yeah.
But I do think it's still going to be continued with some upside in the midterm going through the rest of the month.
Which to be fair, everyone needs to know it's okay to have these explosive rallies. It's okay to jump in the matter of 2 or 3 days 30%, as long as we continue to pull back, test, and set new levels of support. We've used this example before. It's like rock climbing. If you're like actually going out and climbing a mountain, you don't want to climb too far before you set a level of support, or what do they call that when they're climbing? They set like an anchor. So you don't want to climb 60 feet without any anchors between those 2 points. You want to be setting anchors constantly so that in case of disaster and there's a massive fall, you have a strong level to support you when you're climbing. And same thing with trading. You want to set some strong levels of support, some psychology metrics for traders. So like if we rally to $2 explosively, what's the last time that we had a level of support? If that last level was here at 150, we might have a 50-cent drop. But if we set some good support levels at 160, and then 170, then 180, when we have a time we need to retrace, we don't have to fall so far. So that's something I want you guys to keep your eyes on. The where we're going to see us start to explore the reason why Kelly just said what he said, and that is that we're probably going to see some bearish movement over the next couple of days. We're starting to see it develop on the 4-hourly chart. It's not confirmed, but we're going to go see it on the hourly chart. But I want to show you guys on the RSI. The first thing is, whereas we had mostly just upside on the daily chart, you're seeing the 4-hourly charts RSI say, all right, this isn't explosive. We're slowing down. Right here, we are moving kind of sideways, but we're coming back down towards that 14 SMA. Same thing with the Bollinger Bands. MACD, you're seeing instead of just massively explosive green histograms, we just had one turn light green, saying, all right, let's slow down a little bit. And then you're going to see, if you go to the hourly chart, why we think that potentially this is a time. Again, if you're an investor or a hodler, just hold. You're good. We're just going to come down a little bit. But if you're looking to swing trade and trying to maximize your efforts, and you have experience doing so, this hourly chart is showing us we have a bearish MACD cross right there. You guys can see that one little histogram showing up right there. If we go to the RSI, we have bearish RSI divergence. And I'm going to just show you guys, obviously, we have a peak. Our price continued to rise right here, but our RSI kind of went down. Same points right here. Let's see. Actually, I'm going to draw this line back here. Downside in RSI, upside in price. This is a bearish reversal, bearish RSI divergence. So this is a reason why I'm not saying we're going all the way back down to $1. So if anyone thinks that that's what I'm saying, that is not what I'm saying. There's a couple different levels, as Kelly said. It's kind of anyone's guess at this point. There's no perfect way to know the exact bottom. But what's good is that we are not too far removed from a couple different levels of support that used to be resistance that we've turned into support. The first one is this descending level that we had going with that falling wedge. As you guys can see, we've already once used that as support, coming back down and touching right here before this rally. So with this bearish RSI divergence, are we looking for a price target right in this region around 143, or do we need to drop down, maybe potentially down in the region between 138 to 140, or could we fall all the way back down to a former level of resistance back in the 12th of January? Do we need to fall all the way back down to 134? This is something that I'm going to keep my eyes on. I definitely have a buy signal. Just so you guys know, I exited my trade right here at 152, which is what it's at currently right in this moment. I did it kind of over here, I think, so it did have some upside after what I did. But I have a buy signal just in case it falls this far without me being able to see the charts right here at 134. But I'm watching. If I see a lot of bullish RSI divergence, if I see us start to get overextended on the Bollinger Bands to the downside, I might purchase as high as 142 or 140 in that region. But this is something I want you guys to keep your eyes on with Cardano. We just had a great weekend. There does need to be a small pullback before we continue to rally, and I just wanted to get you guys warned. I mean, everyone likes to talk about how bullish we are in things. I just want you guys to know we want to let you guys know when we think there's something bullish about to happen, when there's something bearish about to happen. And in this case, as great as Cardano's had a weekend, we do think we're going to expect some bearish movement over the rest of today. But that's what I have on Cardano. Let's go actually check in on what chat thinks. Kelly, is there anything, before we go to chat, is there anything you wanted to add to anything I just said there? Or do you think that summed it up pretty well?
I got one more thing I want to share with the illustrious Market Cipher. I know our channel is we focus a lot on Lux Algo because Lux Algo is incredible. But before you guys brought me on the team, I've been a Market Cipher guy for the last two or 3 years. And one of the things I love about Market Cipher is, as you can see here on my chart, this green line, the green wave here, and then the red wave, this is a money flow. And this is one of the most important things to watch when you're trying to follow an asset, especially with TA and trying to predict what's happening in terms of the true sentiment of the market. If money's flowing into an asset, that's even if it's in the red, if it's flowing in, means coming back towards this, the zero line here, that shows that there's a positive sentiment building. And as you see this money flowing in, we actually had a pretty large pop up here, and right here we're not fully out of the woods yet because we have a sharp angle up on money flow here, just like we did here and here. So we still could be rejected, but I would assume or assert that I think that this actually is more likely to have follow through because of all the bullish metrics and the action happening on chain with Cardano and the implementation of all the things that everybody's been waiting on for it feels like years now. And so with all this development on top of the Cardano blockchain, with the dApps coming online, smart contracts coming online, it's only going to drive money flow into the asset class. And so if this were to come in and cross a zero line, if we look back here, I marked it the last time on the daily, I'm on the daily time frame here. The last time we crossed positive and went positive money flow, the growth following that was 131%. So, and not that we're going to have an exact 131% growth once we pass the zero line here. It's just showing that once this happens and we actually have the momentum rolling into Cardano with the money, as well as just a positive sentiment, and then actual development use cases being implemented and used, it's only going to drive further price action to the upside. The only thing that I would watch that I think a lot of people don't recognize when they are looking at Market Cipher is, you see these two lines here are the two different types of RSI. And when you have consensus, meaning like the lines are adjoined here, or they're traveling a very similar path, very close together, that like they're converged on themselves, that's showing a very positive, a very strong consensus in the market trend. And as we are having very sharp bullish momentum coming here with very sharp angles here, and we have a very solid VWAP coming up here, there's quite a bit of distance between the two RSIs. So that's still showing that there's, even with the bullish sentiment moving in and some positive money flow and the momentum coming up, this is showing that there is indecision. And you can see that when you come down on smaller time frames, because we are, under a positive green momentum flow up. But if you come down on the smaller time frames, we have the red dots, momentum shifting to the downside. So that's kind of a good indication that exactly like what you're saying, we are having very strong bullish movement right now, but that doesn't mean to bet the farm on it. Sometimes one of the best things you can do in a market when you're trading, or just even if you're not trading, even if you're just trying to pick the best spot to invest, to make it the best buy order that you're going to ride for, whether it be 3 months, 6 months, or 6 years, you still want the best entry. And so right now, I would say whether you want a midterm trade or a long-term trade, it might be wise to be patient a little bit, wait for the small pullback that we are going to see here in the next day or two, get that new local low, which I think will be a higher low from our previous low. That will be your entry point, and you said anywhere from the 132, I would say would be the low side, but probably the 140 140 range, 140, anywhere in the 140 range would probably be a good buy.
No, and I want to clarify before we go to chat, what you guys need to be watching for is this is what a healthy rally is going to look like. Is we're going to come down here a little bit. We're going to test. We're going to come up, hit new levels, potentially come down, go up, maybe skip a few, come back down, go back up. And so it's going to look a lot like there are going to be days where we're looking at this and we're looking in this time frame. We're like, oh my gosh, Cardano's explosive. And then we're going to get right here and we're going to start moving downwards and people are going to be like, oh no, Cardano's done. And all it's doing is coming back down to set a new level of support before a rally. And the longer you look out here, like if I were to put this on the monthly chart, it looks almost like a straight line. It doesn't really feel like there's really anything bad happening. The more I go down though, if I were to go all the way to the hourly chart, which, oh my goodness, this is going to look crazy. If I go to the hourly chart, it's going to actually have a lot more. Well, you can't really look at there because I didn't draw it there. My bad, guys. I thought I could show you guys. It's going to look a lot more scary on the smaller time frames. But if you were to scroll out here, let's just go back and look at Cardano in a nutshell. First of all, this rally right here, you guys are going to see constant fighting, come up, come down, fighting all the way. Even more so if I were to scroll back and look at this rally that we just had back at the beginning 2021, constant pullbacks, explosion, pullback. So just so you guys are prepared and ready as hodlers, as traders, it depends on what you want to do. Some people never pick these tops and bottoms correctly, and they would have been better by just buying right here, sitting still, not doing anything, hodling, and letting the price go up. Some people can read the markets. They know how to read the technical analysis. They know how to read what's happening with the news, and they can get pretty darn close to the tops and the bottoms. As we talked about the other day, never expect to hit the exact top or the exact bottom. At the end of the day, just so you guys know, I have my hodl portfolio, which means I bought and I'm just letting it ride. I have my trading to where I'm going to get as close to the top as possible, but I might not ever hit the exact top or the exact bottom. But I'm going to make profit because I'm getting close. I'm getting good buys and good sells. That's what you guys need to be looking for if you're in the trading game. But let's go ahead and read some super chats. Maybe you can go off my screen. I don't know. Were you on my screen that whole time? Okay, sweet. You can go off my screen, though, right now. We have a couple super chats that I see here. Vincenzo M. Oh, man, that's a good one. Ambrogio. I hope that was semi-close. He said, do you think Cardano will have a large correction if the Cardano blockchain has trouble handling all the new traffic? That's a great question. First of all, yes. If they struggle, it's going to reflect and it's going to make some people freak out and not want to go that way. The one reason why I think that that's not going to happen, though, and Kelly, I want to hear what you think, and actually, Smay, I want to hear what you think as well on this point, is how slow Cardano has been in getting to what they want, in bringing all these new projects on. They have not been rushing it. They have not been like racing against the clock, despite the fact that a lot of people have been screaming, why don't they just do it now? Why don't they just do it now? It's almost like Charles and his team just doesn't care what the person thinks. They want to create the best product possible. So for that reason, yes, if they have trouble handling the new traffic, I do think that would affect the price to the downside, but I do not expect that to happen. Smay, what do you think?
To be honest with you, I agree. I agree. I don't think it's going to happen, but there's part of me that says, hey, never say never.
It's true.
They have spent a lot of time on it and they have, but I think with anything, with any type of technical thing, and I'll tell you this because today obviously this is not even close to what blockchain is or anything like that. Obviously I'm not comparing it in that sense, but never say never. Sometimes technology can just be a pain in your butt. So, will it work? I think they've put a lot of effort into making sure it does, but you never know. So that's why I'm like, if it does happen, I think we're going to see a huge sell-off. I think people are going to get really frustrated. Because I think this is not the time for Cardano to mess up. Yeah. They're already on shaky foundations in terms of trust with the average investor. And so if they fuddle this up, I think there's going to be I think there's going to be a huge backlash, but maybe they'll recover from it. But I think this is not a good time for them to mess up. So
yeah. Kelly, what do you think real quickly before we move forward with super chats?
Well, I would say that one of the things that is actually the best fundamental underpinning for Cardano, which has been frustrating to all of us people that are part of the ADA gang, hashtag ADA gang if you're part of the ADA gang, if you've been holding on, I remember, and I hate to say it, but I still wish I had over 300,000 ADA back in 2017. Wow. And one of the pops in price back then, I traded out of it and went fully into Bitcoin from our Cardano. And then I got back into it when it was around 50 cents. But if I had only held on. But the point being here is the patience in this case, I think, is going to serve everybody incredibly, because one of the major underpinning for Cardano that's really going to do it justice for all the people that have been patient is that one of the things that's making it take so long is that they're very big on the scientific process. And one of the things that has to do with the scientific process is peer review. That being said, I think one of the things that has delayed a lot of the things that have happened with this is not only do they build out, they have massive development team building out all these different functionalities and different ways that it can be used and implemented across multiple different dApps and the way the smart contracts run. I think because the fact that they've done it and more in line with the scientific process, less in line with just the business proprietary, I do this, release it, have testnet issues, and then go back. They've been running these issues in the back end the whole time, trying to sort them out, having peer review, having the most eyes on the project as possible so that they can work all these things out basically in the lab before it's launched. So I think the likelihood that it's going to have major issues is low. Yeah. The likelihood that it will have some issues is probably 100%, because that's the nature of any technology you ever own. No matter how many ways that you back test different things and try to test things out before going onto a mainnet full alpha, beta, full launch to use case, you can't foresee this. Some issues that arise are stuff that you could have never planned for. But I think with the size of their development team, the peer reviews process that they have, and the level of integrity that they have with what they're trying to do, I think any issues that do present themselves will be handled and probably among the most beautiful ways versus all other blockchains, because of the integral, just the integrity that they've gone through with this entire process. Has it taken a long time? Yes. But is it going to lend to a much more secure and sustainable future? I think so. And I think that's why a lot of the ADA gang has held around so strong. And that's what one of the reasons why the community is just such a powerful community.
Yeah, let's keep going to the super chats and try to get through some of the rest of these. Simpleman699 said, missed half the show. I have many ADA, keep or sell at the moment. Something, I don't know what RGRDS means, but simple. We talked about that a little bit. This has to go with not financial advice. Whatever you are comfortable doing, I want you to do your research, know what you're doing. I hope you can use this as a place to bounce ideas and hear other people's opinions. But my opinion, Simpleman699, is if you're a hodler, just hold. I don't expect us to have much more than, I think it's about a 9% dip. That's not significant enough. If you can't check the markets daily, if you're not constantly looking at the charts, it's not significant enough to say, hey, let me go ahead and take some profit and then buy back in a lower. If you are a trader, if you're constantly looking at the charts, if you are constantly looking to maximize your profits at every turn, buy in and sell and whatnot, I do think this is a moment that potentially you could take some profits, wait for it to come back down. As we talked about a little bit, I would not be surprised. I don't expect to get all the way down to 134, but I did put a buy signal in there just in case, because there's a good argument we could go there. I more realistically expect us to fall back down to the levels around 138 to 142. That's where I think we're going to be placing some new strong support before we continue to rally up to the upside. Carlo, do we have a question? No. Okay. Carlos C said, your thoughts on Algo, and do you see it holding any trend line? Wow. I did not look at Algo this morning, but Carlos C, what I'm going to do is potentially, based on our time at the end, we might look at Algo. So I'm going to highlight this one and come back and look at that maybe a little bit later.
I will say briefly, I think it's Anthony Scaramucci, big time investor. Yes. Actually, I read an article about him yesterday. He's actually made a $250 million bet on Algo because he believes that it's going to win the layer 1 battle just because of the way it was built with scalability and security, and also the main guy, I forget his name at the moment, but the main guy that developed Algo is, a lot of people think of him as the father of cryptography. He's MIT cryptographer, and he basically was one of the people that started a lot of what blockchain has come from. So who's to know? All you can do is place your bets. I definitely hold a little bit of algo, and I think it's going to have a huge upside over the next 5 years.
Yeah, Smay,
I have a smooper chat.
A smooper chat.
Yeah, like a Smay chat from Smay.
I don't know what that even means. But okay, let's do it.
I have a question. Do you think Cardano might end up and all the because AVAX and I know a lot of other projects are also going to be having some fun on the 30th. So my question is going to be, do you guys, and this is genuine, I don't know, do you guys think this will be one of those buy the news, sell the release type of events potentially?
With which thing in particular?
With the launch on Cardano.
I would say.
Okay, I hear what you're saying.
I would say, unfortunately, the way the market works, I do think that there's going to be massive pump into the 30th for AVAX and for when there's quite a few different coins that'll be launching over the next 2 or 3 months. Now that the Plutus application backend is now being able to be integrated and the smart contracts are being fully utilized, I think that there will be a massive pump. AVAX in particular, I think there's going to be a massive pump, but because of that, there will be probably a fairly strong retrace. However, the one thing to consider about this is not only will the mainnet be launching on June 30th, you have to also consider the fact that the only exchange that it's on right now is X Markets, and they've been in process
June or January
30th. You said June 30th.
Sorry. January 30th, AVAX. My apologies.
Yeah.
I think one of the main huge consideration is the fact that right now it's only available on X Markets, and the second any coin that you see, when you see as the coin becomes more broadly popular and the use case is being utilized and there's not issues with the project, I think very quickly, and it's anybody's guess. It could be the following day, it could be the following month, it could be next year. But one of the ways to make really huge gains in crypto assets is to be able to pick your plays early before they have the cascading major exchange listings. So when AVAX and Charlie 3 and Wi-Fi and all these other Cardano application protocols start gaining popularity and they start cascading their listings on KuCoin, Kraken, FTX, Binance, all these things, each one of those things, it's not just that they're being listed on these other exchanges. What happens is the second they're listed on these other exchanges, there's a explosive exponential growth in liquidity and exposure for those projects. And so one of the key things to making huge gains in the crypto asset class niche is finding these coins early before they have these major exchange listings. So yes, the main net's going to be going live, but then you also have these other things that'll be happening along the road path. So I think there will be a pullback, but I know I already have I think about 12 sell orders for AVAX. Once it gets above what my entry, it's above my entry now. Once it gets above my first target, and then cascading all the way up to $75, I have sell orders all along the way, because I think there's going to be pullbacks just like anything. But I think with all the Cardano applications and protocols, I think this next year, I think. We had a huge year last year, even with the sideways action we had after the massive push up to above $3 on Cardano, but we still ended 17x at the end of the year. So I think this year actually is going to be like the Luna or the Solana sort of, the 80 cents to $80, like on Luna and stuff like that. I think we're going to have I think Cardano is going to have a year that's going to put it back in the top 3, probably before summer's end. So all the projects that are on that ecosystem also are going to, have huge gains as well. So place your bets.
Well, to be fair, Cardano made a big jump yesterday, jumping. Solana obviously had a little bit of a dive, but it ended up jumping both the USD coin and the Solana coin to get into number 5 at the moment. And I think I agree with you 100%. I would not be surprised if in the next couple of months we're going to see Cardano be back at number 3. But let's go ahead and transition, because we're going to jump into some Bitcoin. But before we get to Bitcoin, if you guys have been following us for a while and you guys want to do this yourself, because that's what we're really big on this channel, we're very glad that you guys come in and check us out daily. But in reality, we want you guys to be able to do this yourself. And you cannot do the charting and the trading that we do without using TradingView. And preferably, you'd want to use the premium package. There's so many things on there that will be extremely helpful. For example, if you have just like the free version, I think that you can only get like 4 or 5 indicators at a time. It's very frustrating just to click on and off and on and off and on and off. And then you have ads pop up, and then you have all this different chaos, and you can't ever get a clear picture. But if you have TradingView Premium, you can actually get up to 25 different indicators at the same time, so you can be looking cross-reference. As you guys see, we do it all the time. We like to look at the volume at the same time as looking at the oscillators, at the same time as looking at Bollinger Bands and TD Sequential and VPVR and so many others. If you want to be able to do that with ease and with comfort, to be able to read the markets quickly to make sure you're getting into the best points, you're going to want to get TradingView Premium. There's a link for it down in the description. And guys, I cannot rave enough about how quickly you will make your money back if you go ahead and get that, because it is ridiculously helpful when you're trying to trade and read the markets. And like I said, never try to go perfect, but try to get the best buy spots and the best sell spots you can. It's really hard to do that without it, so I heavily encourage you guys, go get TradingView Premium today. Let's go ahead and go to my chart, Smay, and we're going to go talk about Bitcoin, because Bitcoin has really been a letdown. You know, Bitcoin, and when I say that, it's because it just continues to do boring things. Right as it does something special, like have a good drop or a good pickup, it begins to move sideways again. And we've been this way ever since right around the 23rd or the 20th of October. We were rallying, moved sideways, fell down, moved sideways, fell down, moved sideways, fell down. And we do these little spurts that give us hope. But when you look at it from this angle, there's really been nothing special happening to Bitcoin over the last couple of months except for this pull down. And that's what begs the question. Some people believe that Bitcoin's in a bear market, while others have held out and said, no, this is simply a pullback or a correction to a longer time framed bull run. That being said, we feel you, we hear you, we understand. When the heck is Bitcoin actually going to do something? Like, nothing could ever ring truer than that meme of that guy like poking the dead dog or something, and it's just like, do something. You know, I feel like I'm doing that with Bitcoin every single day. And there are reasons to believe that Bitcoin will rally soon, but there's also reasons to believe, oh my goodness, we might still be moving boring sideways and downwards for a little while longer. And let's start by looking at the daily chart right here. As you guys are going to see, we are in a falling wedge on a longer time frame. Where we kind of get into some hairiness is like, this is a time we could break through right here. We absolutely could break bullish through this level of resistance. We also could definitely go ahead and fall back down one more time and go back and retouch that 40,000, double bottom, and then rally. The fact that we haven't rallied yet, the fact that we haven't broken through that descending level of resistance and gone back up to around 46,000 is kind of disheartening to make you kind of wonder, is this what Bitcoin needs to do one more time? Clearly, the bulls are not so strong that they're ready to just make the price explode. So what are we going to see happening in Bitcoin coming next? There's reasons just based off the daily chart to think potentially this is the moment for bullish action, but there's also definitely reasons to think it is bearish as well. Let's look at some other technicals and see what we have. On the RSI, we are above that 14 daily SMA, but similar to what we looked at on projects earlier like DOT and Luna, we're moving back down towards it. The RSI is falling. We're also well below the 50. So this is a sign actually in reality that we potentially are in a spot that is good to buy, but the fact that we're moving down at least means I don't expect us to have a big rally here in at least the next couple of hours. There's no screaming bearish or bullish RSI divergence right now in the daily chart. There is when you zoom out, like if I were to go out to the 3 daily chart and I wanted to look here, we've talked about this a lot, so I don't want to hark on it, but you guys can see we do have an uptick in price action barely, while we have a downtick in RSI. This is bullish RSI divergence, which is one of the reasons why we do believe the bottom has been hit. Whether we touch it again or whether we don't need to, we do believe the bottom is in around that 40,000. We need to rally, and that's what's showing us there. But I know a lot of people, they kind of gotten to this point where they're like, hey, we're tired of hearing we're about to rally. When are we actually going to rally? I'm in the same camp. I get frustrated just like you guys, but I'm holding out, and I do think that Bitcoin is coming. But let's look at what's happening the rest of the day. MACD, kind of a similar story. We're getting kind of boring. Technically, we had a bullish cross here a couple of days ago, and we are still moving to the upside, but it definitely looks like it's rounding, and potentially we could be moving into a sideways boring action. So nothing special happening there. If we go over to our Bollinger Bands and TD sequential, we're going to see we're hovering right there, right below the 20 daily SMA. The TD sequential is nothing really special. We had a green one, then a red one. So I'm going to take that down. That's not really telling us anything other than we have a market of indecision. But this is the question. Can we break through this resistance? Can we break through that 20 daily SMA and move back to the upside of the Bollinger Bands? This is something I definitely want to see happening very soon. If we go to our TD sequential, we're going to see right now we are kind of at a pivot point of a kind of decision point. Let's see. I'm trying to get this where you guys can see it nicely. There's a point right here. Here we go. So right here in this peak, right here is really, really big. As you guys can see, we've kind of bounced back and forth in between. If I were to zoom in on that, you're going to see, you zoom in too far and it changes the metrics. We can't seem over the last couple of days to get over this peak right here of around 43,100. We've been above it, but as you guys see right there, we had a bearish engulfing candlestick that brought us right back down. So right as we started to get momentum, we killed it right there. We're hovering right there at the peak. I don't believe there's enough strength from the bears to get us to come down all the way down below the 40,000, but you know that's definitely possible. What I'm looking for instead is for us to climb back up around 45 and begin our climb back to 46 before we have levels of resistance. So on the VPVR, that's what we're looking at right there. But there's a couple things right here. Before I go down to the lower time frames, there's a lot of things pointing to kind of indecision in the market. First of all, right here, we had two different spinning tops followed by a hammer. These are all three of them indecision or turning point candlesticks. We come up here, we have bearish engulfing candle. So again, we started moving bullish, and as soon as we started going there, bearish engulfing candle says, let's come back down. We followed that up by moving one day over and having two more spinning tops. Now we're in this day right here. What are we going to do? Are we going to be going to the downside? Are we going to move into the upside? We have to see this candle close. But to further back up this metric of the daily chart just shows us a lot of indecision. We go to Lux Algo, and we're going to see the exact same thing being told over here. We have our red candles. We have red candles right here. We're still under a sell signal all the way back that was posted here on the, let's see, the 16th of November. We're still under that sell signal, although our trend catcher has turned green. This is a sign to me right now, again, we don't even know where it's going to happen. There's a lot of reason, that's why the trend catcher turned green, to think we're going to move to the upside, but the candles have remained red. Even moving down to the 4-hourly chart using Lux Algo, we're going to see a lot of indecision, meaning we turn red, then we turn green, then we turn purple. Purple is screaming at us. We kind of need to see which is going to happen. Are the bears going to come in and fight? Are the bulls going to come in and fight? This has kind of been a really, really sideways, boring movement on Bitcoin. And I wish I could tell you guys something exciting. Unfortunately, there's really not much happening there. The one thing I will say that is exciting, and it's not going to pump us so much, but it's going to help us a little bit, is the fact that on the hourly chart, let me go ahead and take off my Lux Algo so that's not conflicting with what I'm saying. We have a falling wedge forming on the hourly chart. So this does give us hope that potentially this downward movement we've had over the last couple of hours, meaning the last like 20 or so, we probably are going to break back bullish. But here's my question. Are we going to come right back up to the top here around 43,500, 43,100, somewhere in that region, and then continue to move sideways? There's not necessarily too much special happening on Bitcoin. So this is going to be something, I want to bring Kelly in and get his opinion. But right now, there are big, when you zoom out, reasons to think we're going to move bullish, but those don't dictate what happens within the next 24 to 72 hours. When I'm looking at charts that talk about the next 24 to 72 hours, there's nothing but indecision on the chart. There's probability we're going to move slightly to the upside, but nothing screaming we're going to make it to this red line right here, which is 46,400, which is a key level that the bulls need to retake if they want to prevent the bears from coming back down and potentially breaking this 40,500. Kelly, I want to bring you in and potentially even let you share your chart to see what you're seeing on those charts.
Yeah, absolutely. So I couldn't agree more. I think right now everything on the chart is showing that there's quite a bit of indecision going on in terms of the immediate time frame. However, what I will say, did my chart just pop up here?
Yeah.
Okay. So what I will say is, you know, when people call me a permabull, one of the things I say is, you know, me seeing, you know, if you zoom out on the entire Bitcoin chart, it's up and to the right. That doesn't mean that we're gonna every time frame gonna go up and to the right. However, we have more bullish metrics now than we've ever had really in the history of Bitcoin. Other than the first day it launched, the only thing it could do from there was go up, unless it had no buyers. But we've only had buyers, and the supply has gone down every step of the way. So one of the things that I want to show, and I actually was put onto this from Crypto Kirby, but if you go here and you change I'm on the weekly chart. If we go here and we go this to the line break chart, if you zoom in on this chart, you can see every time on the line break chart that we flip from red to green, I basically took an average. I deleted the largest growth, which is almost 8,000% here, and also deleted the smallest growth across the entire chart, which is 16%. And I averaged every one of these basically the flippening of trends here on the line break chart, and the average upside after flipping back to green on the weekly is 201%. Upside. So this is one of the bullish metrics I'm looking at, and I'm looking still right here. If we look at where we're at, we haven't done it yet, and this also has to do with a little bit of the indecision that we're in. But if we go a little further here, and we look at this is a great chart here showing some Fibonacci fractals in terms of how the price played out, and this is in relevance to the relative volatility index, and when basically certain levels that are hit along the way, and basically see we have this sort of retrace here, and then a peak that basically comes up here. I think it's around the 70 level, and once we tap that basically shows a top. We never even got anywhere near that in this bull cycle. In addition to that, when you tap this lower area here, which is around, I think this one is 38. Once we tap that, the upside from there is basically launching this point here to the actual top, which we can see on this fractal playing out on this Fibonacci. This actually has a higher target than I would think, but just in terms of where the relative volatility index is flashing and the fractals that have played out, we have plenty of upside from here. Will it happen this month? Will it happen next month? Will it happen the following month? It's anybody's guess. But coming here, let me go to the next chart. This is a really interesting chart here. This is essentially showing a heat map that shows the 4 different waves of basically the HODL, the realized cap HODL waves. And there's basically 4 different trends that happen here with a low, medium, high, high, low, medium, high, high. And you can see that says it's mapped out on the chart. And where we're at now in relevance to how these fractals have played out in every bull cycle, we're still entering the second half of the bull run, which would lead to quite a bit of upside. Now, if I go to this next chart, this is a chart from Plan C, which is phenomenal. This is another fractal showing the market net position, and this is a very similar fractal with in these green lines here: high, low, medium, high. So high, low, medium. We still have a high to play out here based on this sort of on-chain metric. And that's just an AVAX chart, but yeah, there's plenty of bullish metrics. Not only plenty, I think every on-chain metric that I look at shows, and even when you look at the heat map for the fear and greed index, we basically just have been dancing around this essential end of bull market launching period when you look at the heat map of where we're at on the fear and greed, and that essentially take the word fear out of it and replace that with smart buy. Because when we get that deep, like we were last week, when we hit I think we hit as low as 10, and we're in the 10 to 15 area, the last 2 or 3 times that we've hit that area, that low on the fear and greed has been like an absolute catalyst, a catapult into major upside that brings huge swings and shifting trends. So right now, I think this lengthening cycle thing is just playing out like in front of our eyes, where we're feeling invalidated right now because we're having to be more patient than we usually do based on an exact time scale about where the market should be if we're overlaying the way the price action is played out on this cycle compared to the last one, and also compared to the 2012 2013 cycle. But even if you overlay the 2017 cycle over the 2013 cycle, 2012 2013 cycle, you see that that cycle lasted quite a bit longer. And this one, in terms of relevance, when you overlay the charts on top of each other, we're having almost the same sort of lengthening period here, which would suggest that a top in this cycle would be probably at earliest somewhere around June, but more likely somewhere from June to November of this year. And that just sounds and feels wrong when we overlay it on the exact time scale from past cycles. But when you look at the relevance and how the other two cycles were different in length or diverged in length, and you apply that to where we're at in this cycle, it makes perfect sense where we're at. We just need to be a little more patient. We're shaking out more people. There's more people in the market, which means it's going to take longer to shake out the number of people and get the price to really find that low. But I do think that we're anywhere from 3 days to I would say anywhere by the end of this week to the end of this month. I would say anywhere within that time scale, we're going to find the actual bottom of where we're at. And like I said, it could happen in 3 days. It could happen over the next 2 weeks. But I do think that bottom is being built. It's being found. These small little short squeezes that we're having or long squeezes that we're having that are pushing us down is showing incredible bullishness, because we're following at very, very small amounts now with these squeezes. So the only upside from here, I think, with the smallest amount of downside, but still be careful with your positions. Don't go in doing super long leverages. Don't do any leverage really until we have some confirmation. And I would say for me, that would be once we get above 52 with confidence, with volume, and with follow through. That would be my true sort of gates to see that we're actually having a trend reversal. Because until we actually pass 48 and then go past 52 with confidence, we very well could be rejected at 52 and come back down and enter a much longer bear market. So as bullish as I am, you still need to play it safe, and you need to find that volume, and you need to see that follow through, and you need to see the big money and the retail sentiment shift with that volume and with betting on this long side upside. So until then, that's all we can do is play it safe.
No, another thing, last thing I want to say before we go to chat, for those of you wondering why we say continue just to keep paying attention to things. When you zoom out in the weekly chart, which is a lot of the times that institutions get involved and the bigger guys with a lot of money get involved, they're looking at some bigger time frames and they're looking at some of this stuff. There's two things right here I want to show you. First of all, this green 9 flash on the TD sequential. Oh, you're not on my chart? It's not working?
Yeah, it's not working anymore.
Go figure. All right, well, if you were looking at your own, there we go. No lunch.
No lunch.
Technical
difficulties. Can you unplug it and plug it back in?
Yeah, I can try to do that. My chart.
Keep it to the bottom one.
I am keeping it there. It's giving me some problems.
I wonder, because guess what? It happened this exact last time you were hosting. It went off at this time.
So maybe it has like a time limit on it. I just plugged it back in. Is it working now?
No.
All right, well, if you guys are looking at the weekly chart, I'm going to have to just give you play-by-play. We not only have a green 9 flash.
It's back, but it's... Hold on. Wait a second.
Okay.
I discovered something.
You've discovered something.
Give me a second.
Can I keep talking, or do you need to...
Oh, I can actually say something while that's happening.
All right, now go.
One of the things I wanted to mention to everybody is we did a big giveaway a couple months ago with some NFTs and stuff, and we had some back end stuff that we were sorting out for the last couple weeks. So we got it all sorted. So we will be getting those NFTs out to the people that won that. And we're actually going to be doing another giveaway. We're going to be doing another giveaway here shortly with the same ones. And just to put it in perspective, the NFTs that we were giving away were these things called Mojo Heads. And the people that won them, and also the people that win the next round, they're going to really enjoy it, because I think they started at 0.1 Ethereum or something, and they've already almost quadrupled in value. So I think the value of them now is up around $1,500. I think it's 0.455 ETH, which is awesome. And Mojo Heads is doing their second mint, I think on the 25th or 26th. So we'll be doing another giveaway with 2 more of those. So definitely check those out on OpenSea. And so we're excited to get those and share some more stuff with our community.
Awesome. Well, what I want to show you guys real quick. So I've said it several times now. Green 9 right here, screaming oversold. We do have RSI a bullish divergence. We have a flat bottom on these 2 points, but you guys can clearly see we have the price uptick. Guys, these are reasons on the larger time frame you're going to see a continued thought of, hey, this bull market's not over. There's a great buying opportunity right here. The other thing, and this is what I honestly think is going to play out, and Smay, you can go off my screen now at this point, is the overarching downtick in volume we've seen over the last couple of months, as we've seen people get excited and then get discouraged and they want to get out. And then as soon as you see a rally and people want to come back in, it gets boring again or it moves to the downside and people get out. Watch the technique that institutions are using to continue to weed out people, to get them uninterested, to get them to sell their supply so that they can buy it, and then they'll skyrocket the price. There are going to be people who held out for a long, long time who it's going to continue to feel like day in and day out, you're making a mistake. You're making a mistake. You need to go ahead and get out. Bitcoin's done. It's over. When they can get you to flip your brain is when they've won. But there is going to come a point where they're like, all right, this is it. There's no more liquid supply. This is illiquid Bitcoin. There's nothing to go but up. That's when the price will rally, and those who held out will make money off of it. But if you don't believe in Bitcoin and you think that we are in a bear market, I would heavily incentivize you. Hey, don't just say, well, because Tim and Jebb disagree with me, I need to go hold out. If you believe we're in a bear market, do what you think is right. It is your money. It is your power. That's the whole purpose of crypto, is that you get to call your own financial shots and have your own financial sovereignty. Let's move into some chat. I think we have a couple more super chats. We're probably going to end up discussing more Cardano. If you guys just joined, we talked about a lot today. Jebb is out of town, down in Miami at that North American Bitcoin conference. So it is Tim and Smay and Kelly today, and tomorrow probably just about the same. But we've talked about DOT and Ethereum. We talked about Cardano. What else did we talk about? Luna. And now we just finished up Bitcoin. If you guys want to scroll back and watch some of that, you can. But we have a lot of questions here in chat I want to answer and make sure that we answer all of our super chats. And I think we have a couple of questions from regular chat as well. But on the Cardano topic, Mr. Ether Robert Warner said Sunday Swap is having problems. Look at the news. Kelly, did you see anything about Sunday Swap in the news?
No, I haven't seen anything about that. I know that they're having some issues with their initial rollout. Small issues, but at the end of the day, the technology behind all these different blockchain projects is incredibly intricate, and especially when you're especially with the DEX like Sunday Swap. I know that Muesli Swap came live, AVAX, all these different DEXs that are coming live. It's not like it's just a protocol with a coin. They have incredibly complex systems on the back end that are integrating not only the coin that goes with that project itself, but also the way that they integrate all the different projects, because it's an AMM, it's a automated market maker, decentralized exchange. So it's got to also have the ability to interact with all the different chains that are swapping through it. So, I mean, you have to give some of these projects a little bit of leeway to have some small issues along the way. But I think at the end of the day, all these projects that we've mentioned have incredible teams behind them. I think Sunday Swap's probably going to do an incredible job. They did get launched a little ahead of schedule, so maybe that compressed some of the stuff they're doing. But I wouldn't worry about it. I would, if there's a dip from that, use that as an opportunity to buy. But I know with Sunday Swap, they're still not offering tokens. You can only get them through. I don't know if it's staking or adding liquidity to their platform. Then you get airdrop to Sunday Swap tokens from adding liquidity. But I do know that they're going to be offering a token for sale soon. But at the end of the day, you just got to be a little patient on some of these projects as they're rolling out.
Ivan Cortez said, I have 2K88 coins. Should I get more or should I hodl? Ivan, that's a very specific question that would change based off of who the person is, and a lot of that's gonna have to do with what is your entire crypto investment. I think that thinking on the lines of having a percentage, and again, even percentage is based off of the person's desire and what they think of different technologies in the crypto space. But I would kind of start backwards and be like, all right, what is my desired percentage of my portfolio I want in Cardano? And then, of course, how much would that make it? And then as far as should you get more, should you just hodl, you should hodl what you currently have. And then again, based off of what you've decided personally for yourself, you want your percentage of Cardano to be. Are you above it? Are you below it? Are you right at it? That's going to help you influence. We don't want to give you financial advice, but we want to help you come to these conclusions on your own. So that would be my advice to you on that. James Valina said, love the channel. Which exchanges do you guys use for trading? Mine is really simple and boring, James, because I don't do leverage trading. I use Coinbase Pro. I did hear that Coinbase Pro at some point in the future is going to be offering, I believe it's like up to 3x leverage trading, which would be awesome as I get better and better and better. Which, by the way, recently it's been a minute since I've made a negative on my trades. So this is something I would explore in the future. But again, I've been practicing now for months, and I probably entered well over 100 trades to learn that. I do not recommend for anyone who just got invested in crypto or just got invested in trading to go try to find a platform to leverage trade. I would heavily encourage you use things like Coinbase Pro, where it's just one for one trade, get profitable, get used to it. And then when you really feel good about your ability to read the market, that's when you go find a platform.
Hey, whoa, that's pretty good.
What are we playing over here? Okay, thank you. All right.
So, Mr. Timmy,
but you have, I know, yeah. I was going to go to you, Kelly, because I know you have multiple exchanges you use.
Oh well, yeah. In terms of that question, Bybit is something I use for quite. Right. I used BitMEX years ago, and then I switched because of all the hullabaloo on the back end with their administration team, and basically placing bets again. They could see where the liquidity pool was and where people were placing certain trades, and they were trading against their own customers. So I switched from BitMEX years ago. Bybit I've used a lot. I haven't really been doing leverage the last 6 months because the market's been choppy. But Femex is also a great one. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you just need to be very careful and safe with how you place your trades with leverage. Don't go and try to make a bunch of money by leverage trading your entire portfolio. Try to, when you're starting out, especially do it with, 2%, 5%, something very low. That's actually that's the true purpose of leverage trading. So you can use a smaller portion of your portfolio. So you're not risking huge sizes of it, but then you can use leverage trade to trade that same amount without having to trade your entire portfolio. Yeah.
All right, let's move on to Oreo357 said, will Sunday Swap airdrop automatically if you're in a scooper staking pool? That one I don't know. Kelly, do you know the answer to that one?
I do believe so. I haven't provided any liquidity on there, but from what I've read, I do believe that's how it's going to happen.
Gotcha. Now we have two questions here from chat. These are not super chats, but these are great questions. Larry Fishman, I'm gonna read both of them and then we can go look at the chart to see them. Larry Fishman said, is there solid support at 152, right? We'll go look at that here in just a second. And then Make My Soul Shine said, is that a cup and handle on the monthly? So let's go ahead and Smay, you can go ahead and go to my chart. Let me take down my T sequential and let's look what's happening there. First thing I'm going to say is I don't know if there's strong support at 152. I do believe that's a level that's going to become support, seeing is that we just rallied. We had a wick. Let me go down to my hourly chart to even kind of show this. Let's go 4 hourly chart. There is a wick that went as high as 156, as you guys can see right there, but our candle bodies were closing right around 153. I think that in the future, as we rally, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, expect us to kind of have this price action of where we come back down and we touch, but then we rally up high and we come back down and touch that level for support and then continue our rally. I think 152 is going to become support, but obviously it's not right now. And right now our price is at 148. Kind of what Kelly and I were talking about earlier and predicted, guys. Keep an eye on this. Continue to watch. Especially, I would say, I wouldn't go too much lower than the 1 hourly chart to watch to see if we can set up some bullish RSI divergence. We technically have some right now, but it's not over yet. So let's continue to watch when we start to see on the hourly chart the candles slow down, go back to the upside, because as of right now, you guys will see we do technically have bullish RSI divergence set up, but this candle's not closed yet. It's not done. This trend is not done. I would actually say let's wait for potentially, especially in the hourly chart, a couple of candles to close before we say, nope, the bottom is in. We're about to go back to the upside. I do believe Cardano is going to come down. That spot right there is looking very advantageous. This descending level of resistance now we might use for support. Looks very good. It's going to put us somewhere in the region. If we can close it this hour and drop really far, it's 143. For the next couple of hours, it's probably 143. Keep an eye on that, at least a wick. I might even say, if I was you, put in a buy order at 143. I put one in just at 134, just in case we got low with a wick. But that's up to you completely how you want to do that. The other question we had here was on the monthly chart. Do we have a large cup and handle? So let me come out here. So I understand definitely. You know what? Let me go to a different chart that probably gives us a little bit more information. What do we have here? Kraken's going to give us a lot. Yeah, this will work. Although it's still not giving us that much. I might go to the weekly chart just to make this a little more clear. All right, so as far as, is this a cup and handle? There's a couple things you need to explore when you're doing a cup and handle. I can tell you right now, I'm not saying no, it's not. But I am going to say It probably isn't. And the reason why is because already, if you look here at this trend line, and what I want to use to kind of help you understand this is using a trend angle. Let's go ahead and just be conservative and use the top of this wick and go all the way across. 9% difference in the rim of our cup. I'm not saying that can't be a candle, or sorry, a cup and handle. I'm saying that we're starting to get into the realm of that's not a good cup. I wouldn't drink from a cup that had a rim with a 9% angle. And not that it needs to be exactly perfect. That's just how it is. But more realistically, I was being a little bit helpful. The truth is it's actually closer to being more of like an 11% increase. Not very good, especially then when you take the fact that our bottom of our handle, part of the cup, is right there at the top of this part of the rim. That I would not look at this and say that this is a cup and handle. Just so you guys know, though, if I was going to say that this was a cup and handle, let me go ahead and draw my top across right here. We take roughly half of what we have right here. So in case you're drawing cup and handles, you go to the very bottom of the cup and you take about half of it. So coming down, if I were to take this projection, let's say right in this region right here, and I go to project out in the future where I think this will happen, we're assuming that our price is going to come back up. What just happened to my, oh yeah, it would give us a price prediction. Yeah, it's funny how it did it like that. 424. I don't think that's significant enough really to make a call like that. Kelly, do you have an opinion on that, or I'm assuming you can see what I was just drawing right there?
Yeah, I think it's a
couple reasons why I don't think that is it.
Well, sometimes we try to. There's a bit of an art to doing TA, and that's sometimes knowledge can go against you because you learn about certain bullish formations, you want to see them into charts. But I think this is cup and handle ish, but I don't think this is really a cup and handle, especially with the jagged bottom. And then also almost like a double handle at the top. But I do, again, that doesn't negate the fact that I do think we're setting up for massive bullish upside. We are going to have a little bit of a retrace. However, I don't think that's full on a cup and handle. But one of the things I want to do, I know we're coming up towards the end of the hour. I know earlier, I think it was last week, we covered Chainlink, because Chainlink, similarly to Cardano, was making some moves while everything was quiet. Now Cardano is making some moves while everything's quiet. But I'm curious if you want to do a quick little 2-minute snapshot.
Yeah,
on Chainlink,
we'll do Chainlink really quickly and then close it out.
Then we can wrap it up.
So I talked about this earlier when I was hosting the show last week. So just so you guys know, this time frame right here, when Link is moving to the upside, everything else in the crypto market was still moving down. So Link was the trendsetter. It was different. And then right as it starts to move to the downside, that's when everything else flipped and said, hey, let's go up. This is something I told people a little bit ago. And Link it's starting to kind of correct and change this. But we were in an ascending wedge, a rising wedge that I predicted. Not only are we not late enough into this symmetrical triangle pattern on a larger time frame, we broke bearish, as I predicted, out of this rising wedge, and we're moving down. I don't know if we necessarily need to come all the way back down to this last level of support down here, and that would be around $19. I actually think that potentially this rising level of support is where we're probably going to end up somewhere before we break bullish. So what that's going to kind of look like, just so you guys can see it, is a price action where as you guys see, we're moving sideways. I expect us to move kind of sideways like this, maybe a little to the downside. We're going to bounce, and that's when we're going to have the strength to rally through this level of descending resistance and turn it potentially then into support. So we might then come back down and then use it before we rally even higher. But as I said, Link right now, I don't think that this is a great trading opportunity to buy in. I think the price needs to go a little bit lower. But as far as hodling, I do think Link, especially with the institutional adoption that it's been getting recently, which is, I think, what sparked this little rally right here, I do think that Link is a good long-term hodl, and it's one of those things, you don't buy perfect, you buy good. We are in a good buy spot right now. But if you want to make some trading, some swing trading happening, wait just a little while longer. I do expect it to come back down here in this region. It's boring sideways and down, and then we'll bounce off this support and rally. But that's what I think. It doesn't matter what I think in your portfolio. It matters what you think. Make sure you go and do this chart reading for yourself, and you have everything you need to be successful in trading. Guys, that's all we have for today. We ran a little over what I thought we would, but we're going to be back tomorrow. happy MLK Day to everyone who is watching. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow. Jebb will be out until Thursday at the Miami conference. But that doesn't mean the chart stop. That doesn't mean the price stops. We're still going to have our show. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you tomorrow. Peace.
Oh, I got a real good feeling.